Kmani Latig was 13 years old, living in Toledo with her grandmother Dorothy. She had been in Dorothy's care since 2019, though legal guardianship came later. Dorothy worked long shifts, so Kmani became a latchkey child with her own keys. She went straight home after school and never broke routine. At Spring Elementary, she was an honor roll student, weeks away from a kindness award. She hugged her teacher every morning and shared her breakfast. She loved Ms. Pac-Man, basketball, and older music. Her 14th birthday was days away, and she wanted a basketball-themed party. But her life had never been stable. Her parents separated before she was born. Weeks before she vanished, Kmani told her teacher she did not feel safe at home. The teacher saw fear in Kmani's eyes and bruises on her arms. As a mandatory reporter, she called Lucas County Children's Services. Other staff called too, including the bus driver. LCCS received 3 separate reports between December 2023 and March 2024. During one assessment, Dorothy admitted to physical discipline. But when caseworkers spoke to Kmani alone, she said she felt safe. Children often minimize the truth. The agency closed each report without removing her. They gave Dorothy guidance and moved on. 3 warnings, 3 closures. Kmani remained in the home. On Sunday, March 16th, Kmani was home alone. Late that night, she called her father, Darnell Jones. He said she sounded frightened, claiming someone tried to break in. Darnell said he and his cousin stayed until 12:30 a.m., then left. But phone records told a different story. Kmani called Darnell again at 1:29 a.m., a call he missed. Then she called his girlfriend several more times. She was still trying to reach someone long after Darnell claimed he had left. The timing did not line up. The calm picture he painted did not match the phone records. That night, Kmani was alone. Dorothy returned from her early shift on Monday morning. The front door was unlocked. Kmani never left that door open. Inside, the gas stove was on, with no flame. Kmani's glasses lay beside the couch. Near them were her underwear. On the dining room floor, her pajamas were tossed aside. Her keys were still inside. Dorothy called out. No answer. She dialed Kmani's phone. It rang once, then voicemail. She called 911. Before officers arrived, she called the school. Kmani had never shown up, unusual because she never missed school. A missing person report was filed. Kmani Latig was now officially missing. On March 21st, volunteers searched parks, alleys, and abandoned lots. Strangers handed out flyers with Kmani's face. Her mother, Tiara, begged for information. Detectives did not treat this as a runaway case. The scene inside the house pointed to abduction. One detail rose to the surface. Darnell Jones was the last person to see her. When investigators interviewed him, his story shifted. The timing, the sequence, the calls did not line up. Phone records contradicted him. On March 23rd, a felony abduction charge was filed against Darnell. He was now the focus of a manhunt, but he was already gone. Darnell Jones had a long criminal record. As a teenager, he was arrested for drunk and disorderly conduct. He faced an arson charge and entered an Alford plea. In 2015, he fired a gun at a man and fled. He struck another man with an alternator, requiring medical treatment. He threw a television off a balcony during a domestic dispute. Despite being a convicted felon, he was found intoxicated in a daycare parking lot holding a gun. That sent him to prison for a year. Investigators reviewing his record realized that none of this had ever been shared with Child Protective Services when they evaluated Kmani's safety. Darnell's girlfriend, Nina Turner, noticed changes in his behavior. He asked her to turn off her security cameras. She refused. A family member saw him hide something under the basement stairs. When Darnell was out, Nina opened the closet. Inside were muddy work boots and a rolled-up rubber cargo mat for an SUV. Darnell had not been working. The mud made no sense. Nina called detectives and handed over the items. When Darnell returned and realized they were gone, he left the house and never came back. Nina moved to a different location, afraid. Days later, Darnell called her from a Columbus number. She gave that to police. On March 24th, investigators entered an abandoned house on Chase Street. It had been damaged by a fire in 2022 and marked for demolition. Inside, they found the body of a teenage girl. The coroner identified her as Kmani Latig. The cause of death was homicide. Tiara collapsed when she heard the news. She fell to her knees in front of strangers. Officers formed a wall around her. The mayor said it was one of the worst cases Toledo had ever faced. The police chief, with 3 decades on the force, said the cruelty still stunned him. A child had been taken in the most brutal way. A statewide BOLO was issued for Darnell Jones. Nina gave police his Columbus number. SWAT located him outside. He had shaved his head to change his appearance. Officers ordered him to put his hands up. Instead, he said, "Just kill me," repeatedly. He kept one hand in his pocket. Then he pulled out a gun. Shots rang out. He fell but continued saying he wanted to die. He was transported to Wexner Medical Center, stabilized, and prepared for surgery. While doctors worked, prosecutors added murder charges. He was already wanted for abduction. Now he faced aggravated murder. LCCS confirmed 3 reports had been filed but closed. Caseworkers described a system stretched thin, 18 new intakes each Monday, units with 2 workers instead of 5. A citizens' task force was formed. The abandoned house caught fire again before demolition. Volunteers moved Kmani's memorial. Darnell was indicted on 15 counts, including death penalty specifications. Ohio's first capital case in over a decade. He pleaded not guilty and was held without bond. In court, he wore a suicide prevention suit. His attorneys cited mental illness. The trial is set for 2026. Kmani Latig will not be forgotten.